Hi, I'm Ellie from crystallinks.com. Today is Sunday, June 4th, 2017. I guess I want to title this little video blog Twin Attacks, Terrorism in the UK, because it's the second time in just over a week that terrorists targeted the UK. It's really something that the world just sits back and wonders if this is going to continue again, if these terrorists are targeting now as they did last year because this is the time of Ramadan. What is going on? Is it what we call mass insanity in the world? Is it by certain extremist groups? There's so many different ways to think about who's doing this, why they're doing it. And since it's basically at the end they're either captured or most likely killed, you wonder why people are programmed, as I call it, to do these acts of terrorism. I mean, it's just, we're reaching a level where what goes on in the world doesn't really make sense to us. I talk to my clients about it, friends, my neighbor walking down the hall with his friend who's going back to Florida, and she just came back from England, and from the Florida and the England perspective, it's just chaos. From the Ellie perspective, as I have been blogging for over 2 decades, reality is a hologram. It's called a holographic universe or simulation theory. It's based on the principle of duality. There's always going to be good to everything, bad to everything. It's a consciousness creation, not a God per se, in the sense of how we learn about it in religion. It's just a consciousness creation placed in physical reality to experience emotions. It came out of chaos, the blackness, the void, the black hole, however you say that. Once you read about the holographic universe, it's projected into physical reality where souls come in, they experience, they mostly focus on emotions because this is an emotionally based reality, which means in order to experience most of the emotions, we need duality, we need drama, we need people who are on the crazy side. And as this reality, because it is math and science, it is an algorithm, as it comes to its closure, and as you know, time is an illusion, there was a beginning and we are very quickly coming to the end. Chaos is ruling. There are people before who might have said, well, I'm just, I'm frustrated with governments, I'm frustrated with my living situation, I frustrated with everything in life, but they lived with it, they dealt with it. This is the time where souls feel that freedom is going to happen very, very soon. And because of that, if they can't take the pressures and the frustrations and everything in life, they just go postal. They just, they join extremist groups, they train and plot and plan for these terrorist attacks, whether it's to get their name in lights, to who knows, to be in the history books. Mostly people feel that all the craziness that's going on in a country or in the world is from certain groups, and this will eventually stop. This is how we're built, that everything that is bad eventually heals and gets better. Not in end times, and that's not always the case. Our reality is built on lies, conspiracies, people oppressing other people. There's power, there's money, there's greed, all of those negative things that go on and negative emotions, which now are building with stress and frustration and anger and rage and anxiety. And on the flip side, of course, everyone says, well, we've got to turn all this around. We're going to be good people, and this is all going to go into love and light and all of that kind of thing. You believe whatever you need to believe in this, but just know that this chaos, unfortunately, this chaos that's occurred now in the UK, it started on May 22nd, 2017 with the Manchester Arena bombing. following a concert by Ariana Grande, who, by the way, returns tonight to do a One Love Manchester concert to raise money for the people whose families were affected by the tragedy. And she's bringing with her some really, really big talent: Justin Bieber, Miley Cyrus, Katy Perry, Usher, Coldplay, a whole bunch of other really Pharrell. I mean, the list goes on and on. Because of what happened last night was the June 3rd attack. It started on the London Bridge. 3 people got out of a van, and a white van, and rammed pedestrians on the bridge. Then they drove on and came to the south side of the bridge. They got out, they ran through Borough Market, where they stabbed and attacked people multiple times. 7 people were killed, 48 were injured. I actually think the number, as I'm looking at it now, may be a little bit more. The police did capture the 3 men. But to me, the point of why I'm saying this is not about the ongoing terrorist activities, but the fact that the programming of human consciousness now is taking us here, because human consciousness can no longer stay suppressed. Everybody feels in their soul something is going to happen, something's changing. They don't know what, but they know it soon. It's not like things will be predicted for 20 years or 30 years or even 5 years from now. It's trust your intuition. You're psychic enough to trust your intuition and say things don't work politically, economically. I mean, we're told all these things about how we're saving this and saving that and all of this. And last week, Trump pulled us out of the Paris Climate Accord. And, most people, of course, in the world said, oh my God, the whole world is band together to help us and help clean and clear the planet so we have better water, better breathing, better everything in the years to come. But the question always goes back to, if you think in terms of long range, in terms of things to come, and if you feel that we've got 10 years, 20 years, whatever years ahead, then it makes sense on some level. On another level, on my level of what I've been shown and what's really unfolding in the world, is these things are not controlled by us. They're just part of closure. They're just part of chaos, back to chaos and closure. So no matter how much we try to fight terrorism, whether it be in cyberspace or on the ground, or however people do it, report your neighbors, report anything suspicious, no matter what, the energy is building towards this. It's building and building and building. It's building within people. There's things happening here in the United States. There's things happening in most countries of the world. You can't change the climate, and you really, unfortunately, at this stage of reality, you can't change the human condition. People do not want to be suppressed. They are going to rise up, and they're going to fight to the death if that's what it takes to make their statement. There was something here that I got where one of the men last night, one of the attackers shouted, "This is for Allah." And Allah is to me a mythological god, the same as all the other gods were. These are stories, these are myths. Whoever they were, whatever they did, all of these characters that were above humans, maybe they were gods, maybe they weren't, but none of them would have wanted this chaos and turmoil, and for people to believe that that's what they really wanted, because it's simply not true. We are going, as humanity, we're going to continue on. We are going to watch things collapse in many, many cycles, many different sectors. And it's just going to continue like a snowball rolling down the hill. The lower it gets, the faster it gets. I don't mean to say that as we're going into an ice age, but it's just, this is the way it is. It's very sad. It's very unfortunate. I'm sure you, like me, know people who are trying to make sense of the world, trying to make job decisions, students getting out of college now, last month, they need jobs, people need work, people need a future. Most people do not believe that Donald Trump is going to do much for the country. If anything, they think he's going to like rip us apart from the things we used to think were important and that would make this a better country. Time will tell what his ultimate agenda is. His little agendas right now, he's not doing too well with them. But ultimately, I do believe there's something greater, something more that he is going to do or bring. But with terrorism, with what went on, unfortunately and sadly, for all the people involved in London and Manchester, here in the United States, we do feel for you, and I wish I could tell you this will not happen. There's one other tiny little pattern that I just wanted to talk about in conclusion. To me, things started, this whole human biogenetic experiment started, I wouldn't say the Garden of Eden, but we could say Mesopotamia, the Middle East, Africa, going into France, Europe, and eventually coming to the United States. It's like a pattern. It's almost like that Da Vinci book, I forgot the name of it, Dan Brown's book. It's codes and secret information, hidden information. I call it the Masonic program. It doesn't matter, you call it whatever you want. But it's interesting now in what I call end times. Things started in the Middle East and Africa. Africa meaning Libya, Egypt, revolution, after revolution, and there's more going on. Middle East, needless to say, we all know what's going on in the Middle East. Then we have all the attacks in France. France is very vulnerable. And then we move north to England, and the United States has had their attacks. They've thwarted attacks. There are things that, that we don't know about. There are all kinds of things. We only know what we read about, but there's a lot of things that are going on we don't know about. For now, we're doing the European continent. We're dealing with things like how he affected our election, how he will affect other elections. This is what's coming up for this week. But in the chaos of it all, it's all going to get better. And usually they say it gets worse before it gets better. That's what I meant to say. But it doesn't get better until this hologram fades to black. It ends, and the souls, I don't believe in their going into love and light. They just return to consciousness, computer and program.